The Jets are on the road in Cincinnati, taking on the 3-4 Bengals, led by quarterback Joe Flacco for the Jets' last game before their bye week. And this guy, Quincy Williams, he's excited for game day. He was walking down the tunnel earlier upon arrival, and he said, "Game day, I'm back." So I think we'll be seeing him today on the field, which is very exciting news for everyone, especially the Jets defense. Welcome into Pregame Central, presented by USVI. I'm Caroline Hendershot, alongside Quincy Enunwa. Now, Quincy, it's going to be an interesting game for the Jets today because they are banged up on both sides of the ball, really. So there's going to be some notable players that will be out of today's lineup. That's including quarterback Tyrod Taylor. He got downgraded to out on Saturday, along with wide receiver Josh Reynolds. He was also downgraded to out. This was the practice injury report all week. So on Wednesday, there were a lot of players that did not participate. And then as the week went on, we got some limited participants and some full participants. So we will have to see how it all shakes out. But the biggest storyline, of course, quarterback Justin Fields and all of the comments that were made this week. What do you expect to see from him in today's game?
Yeah, well, I mean, going back to the injuries real quick, I think it's great for him that there's no offensive lineman on that injury report, right? In the past few years, we've had to deal with a lot of injuries on that front. These guys are out there solid and ready to go. I think as far as Justin Fields, I think he's got to play inspired football. We've been seeing some football that's not been exactly what he wants to go out there and do. I want to see him take some chances, right? This is an opportunity for you. The owner called you out, basically made sure that you know, like, you're not playing up to his standards. So as a player, you have two options. You can lay down, or you can go out there and show and prove why you were signed to this team. So today is his opportunity to go out there and do that. I think he should have some fun, make some big plays, you know, and keep this job.
Right, 100%. And I know some people were talking about what he said in media scrums and interviews this week, but he, to me, has always been so even-keeled, the way he presents himself to the media, that I don't know if that's necessarily how he feels inside. Like, he might actually really light a fire inside of him, and he might play in a different way today. How should he get the offense rolling from the first snap?
Oh, man. I mean, from the first snap, I think it's important for you to give him the ball as many times as possible. I mean, and when I say that, manufactured ways, right? So maybe some small, short throws, opportunities to do some RPOs, right? For him, he's got to make these decisions quick, and he has to start off making quick decisions. I think in the past, especially last week, there were so many different chances he had to make some big plays and small plays, but he would hold on to the ball just a little bit longer. Obviously, with him, the pressure has been an issue, right? I think we can actually point out that each guy on the line has had their chances where they missed a block. So it's not completely on him, but he just has to go out there and trust that those guys are going to be able to block for him just to make those quick plays.
Yes, most definitely. Now, there is no Garrett Wilson. He will be out of today's game. There is no Josh Reynolds. He will also be out of today's game. So who is the offense going to run through?
It's got to run through everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody. I think you can't. In the past, it's been a very Garrett Wilson-centric offense, so now you have an opportunity to spread the ball around. I like that it's Justin Fields at quarterback because now he can't rely on his first guy. He's got to go out there and look for somebody else. Josh Reynolds has been a guy, but now he's out, right? So Alan Lazard has to step up. Arian Smith has to step up. I think Brandon Smith is now up. That's a guy that we've seen in the preseason make some pretty big plays, so he has to step up as well. Whoever's out there has to make their plays, and that's been an issue for the receiver front is that guys aren't out there getting open and catching the ball when they need to.
And this could be kind of, while it's a double-edged sword, no Garrett Wilson, it could be a good thing because it could make Justin Fields throw different types of throws that we haven't been seeing, or maybe just have the play calls be a little bit more creative because of no Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, I think it's a gift and a curse for a coordinator because, you know, he's got to feed his talent. But when there's not a specific guy that you're paying all this money to, you can really spread the ball around, right? You don't have to think, okay, I got to get Garrett the ball at this, right? I got to get Josh Reynolds the ball here, right? It's just whoever gets open needs to get open. I can call all the plays I want to call in my playbook. Guys just have to make sure that they're making those plays.
Yes, 100%. Now, tight end Mason Taylor, who we're seeing along this line of players warming up right now, he was a limited participant all week throughout practice. But do we think that we should see more, we'll be seeing more of Jeremy Ruckert because he was a limited participant, or do you still think we'll see a lot of Mason Taylor?
I think we got to get Mason Taylor the ball, right? I think this is a great chance for him to get going. But honestly, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to just have them both out there. Go into a 12 personnel set, right? Get those guys opportunities to get on the ball, make some blocks, right? I think getting bigger since you have less receivers is a smart thing to do in this game, right? You're not going to have the receiver core that you've had recently. Now you've got to go in a different route, maybe more running backs, maybe more tight ends, getting those guys out there.
Okay, so let's talk about the Bengals side of the ball, their defense. What stands out to you overall about the Bengals defense?
Yeah, I mean, they're not a great defense, right? And so that, I think, is a good thing for this Jets offense, is that they're bottom tier in the run, bottom tier in the pass, right? They've got a guy coming back in Trey Hendrickson, but overall, this defense is not an exciting one that makes a lot of plays, takes the ball away. They actually give up a lot of plays, right? They play a single high defense, right? So you have one safety up back. They like to run man. They like to run cover 3, right? So there's a lot of different chances. I like that play that we ran against the Steelers where Garrett Wilson scored that touchdown. Like, we can go with that again, right? This is another team that you can make that type of play on. It's important for Tanner Engstrand to just go out there and let Justin Fields play.
Right, play his style of football, the one that he's the most comfortable playing. I will say the Bengals defense ranks 30th in the league in passing yards per game allowed, and they rank 27th with rush yards per game allowed. So that's very bottom tier of the NFL. Which do you expect the Jets offense to target more heavily?
I think they got to go with the run game. Right? For the biggest reason that Breece Hall still doesn't have a touchdown. Right. So that's one reason why I really want them to go with the run. But I think overall, this is a defense that where if you continue to run on them, now you can open up that play-action pass, right? This hasn't been a team that's ran the play-action pass much, but this can be a game where you can get that going.
You mentioned defensive end Trey Hendrickson for the Bengals, and sources telling Jeremy Fowler earlier this week that he is likely to play in today's game. How does he affect the offensive plan when he's on the field? Yeah,
I mean, he's a wrecker. He has more than, at least almost half of their sacks. I think they have 11. He has about 4 or 5, right? So this is a guy that goes out there and makes the plays for his defense, gets it going for the guys in the back end. They've got some pretty talented corners. Now, they're not top tier, but they're guys that know how to cover, right? Larger guys as well. So, when you have a guy that's getting to the quarterback, now you have a chance to really slow up the pass game, because now you can't get it down the field. You're worried about this guy closing up the pocket. So, he's a good player on their team.
Yeah, so they'll have to keep their eyes out for where he is on the field at all times. All right, well, let's head out to Cincinnati and check in with Eric Allen for the first time in today's show and see what he has to say before the game. All right, Jets fans, be at MetLife Stadium when the Jets take on the Browns. That will be November 9th at 1 p.m. You can get your tickets at nyjets.com/tickets. That is going to be the next game that the Jets play after their bye week. That's coming up next week. So that will be in 2 weeks. Again, nyjets.com/tickets. All right, let's take a look at the other side of the ball for the Jets defensively. Again, they're a little banged up there. So they'll be without cornerback Sauce Gardner, without linebacker Cam Jones, and without defensive tackle Jay Tufele, who has made some really impactful plays on the defensive front. So, but let's start with the secondary, because without Sauce Gardner, there's a big challenge, limiting 2 of the best wide receivers in the league with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. So what does that look like for the Jets secondary? Yeah, I mean, it's not too often where you see a team pay both of their receivers, right? So this is a team that has a lot of confidence in their receivers. They want to go out there and have these guys making big plays. I think back to 2015, around that time, when we had Brandon Marshall and Eric Decker, 2 great receivers on their own respect, where the third guy always had to come out and step up. So I think when you think about those 2 perspectives, I think the Jets have to make sure that they're making the third guy make a play, right? So take those 2 guys out, double bracket, right? Having a safety following him with the corner, both sides, because now you don't have your top guy. Brandon Stevens has been stepping up, though, so I don't want to take anything away from him. But it is okay to make sure that you take those guys out the game so that now they have to try to run the ball, which is something that they don't do very well. Right, 100%. And I will say this stat line is very interesting. So this was Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, their receiving yards per game and their catches per game. So this was interesting because this was with Jake Browning as their quarterbacks through week 3 through 5, and then the other stat line is with Joe Flacco through week 6 and 7. There was a massive jump with Joe Flacco. Of course, that was a lot because of last game against the Steelers, where Joe Flacco threw for over 200, maybe even 300 yards. I can't even remember the exact number, but he had a massive game. So how do you limit that aspect with Joe Flacco and the connection that he had with those receivers?
Yeah, I mean, well, Joe Flacco obviously knows the offense way better than Browning does. He was out there playing within rhythm, getting those passes out there. But the biggest thing that helped him was they were doing a lot of RPOs, right? So they were marrying the run with the pass, getting the ball out quick to Jamar Chase, which allowed him to get into a rhythm as well. It's a little bit overinflated, but that's kind of how you get that many catches. You're catching bubbles, you're catching screens, you're catching all those small passes, which also help the quarterback get into a rhythm as well. So for the Jets, it's just about making sure they're keeping their eyes focused on what is going on, right? Stay in your lane, stay in your gaps, something they've been doing pretty well the last few weeks and why their defense has played well. If you continue to do that and make it tough on Joe Flacco to do those RPOs, now he has to play more, one-dimensional.
I will say, Joe Flacco, he's an older quarterback. Yeah. It's kind of, a double-edged sword with Flacco, I feel like, because, one, he's seen so many different defenses that it almost makes it that he's seen everything. Nothing's going to surprise him, even if you try to disguise it. But also, he's older, so he's not as mobile. Exactly. So how do both of those factors kind of play into the Jets and how they attack him from the defensive standpoint? Yeah,
I mean, you get pressure on him, obviously, right? He's more of an older guy. He's not going to be as mobile. But I will say that Flacco has done a good job of being mobile enough, right? And that's important to make sure that you don't think that he's just not going to be able to evade the rush, but because he can do that. He can also get into the play-action boost, all those different things. And that's something the Jets have struggled with because, even when I think about the Cowboys game, Dak went into that game with a 29.8 average in play-action passes. When he played us, it was about 43 yards per play in play-action pass. He also did a good job of getting touchdowns, right? 2 of the touchdowns to Ferguson were through play-action pass. So they just have to watch out for that. Every team that they played, they attack them because they know with play-action pass is a lot of eye candy, a lot of things going on. They may not be able to run the ball well, but they can do that, get into that play-action pass and make it difficult for these guys.
Does adding someone like Quincy Williams back into the defense help with that play action?
Absolutely, right? Because now you have a guy that knows what he sees, right? So he's not going to go chasing something that he's not supposed to.
Right.
And that's one of the big things, right? You're staying in your gaps. You're keeping your eyes in the right spot. He's going to be able to get back into coverage as well. He's a lot faster than Kiko, obviously. So it's a way faster defense now. It's a lot of guys that can move side to side.
Yeah, so we're hoping to see a lot of Quincy Williams. Now, I also want to talk about rookie A.Z. Thomas because he's going to be in for Sauce Gardner most likely today. What do you want to see out of a rookie going up against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and trying to limit them?
Well, it's going to be difficult for him. I'm wondering what coverages the Jets are going to go into because last week he had some places where he shined, but he also had some struggles as well, right? Now, granted, he had a great receiver to go up against with McMillan back there, but overall, right, I think for him it's just about keeping his eyes, his hips, his feet all in the right place, being focused on that, like focus on the smallest details, right? Because I think when you look at that play in the end of the game last week against number 17 for Carolina, I can't remember his name right now, but he had a great play. He ended up out-muscling him. But also with the same thing, AZ wasn't doing a good job with some of his techniques, right? So he got a taste of the NFL. He got a taste of getting beat. It's important for him to go out there and work on his technique.
Yeah, and it's those small fundamental things that are always being stressed, but especially to the rookies, I feel like. Okay, when you watch Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, from a wide receiver's standpoint, what do they do so well that makes them so dynamic?
I mean, with Higgins, he's a jump ball specialist. Like, he can go up and get the ball, but he also does a good job of yards after catch. With Jamar Chase, he's an all-around receiver.
Yeah.
You could throw it to him shallow. You could throw it to him intermediate. You could throw it to him deep. He's going to make every single one of those plays, and he's a great route runner. He's so fluid in his movements that he doesn't make anything look too stiff. Everything is just like flow, Like, I can't even explain it any way other than that. He was beaten up on Ramsey last week. There's an opportunity for him to do that this week, but again, like I said, these guys have to figure out, do we want to double him all game, most of the game, right? Do we want to play some coverage to him? I think the Jets do a good job of mixing up their coverages, so it's not a bad idea to kind of make some things look a little funky for Flacco.
Yeah, Jamar Chase ranks first in the NFL in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. So that is quite truly someone that will be tough to defend. Now, with Joe Flacco, he's coming off a game against the Steelers where he threw for 342 yards, 3 touchdowns. Will he have a repeat performance like that?
I don't think so. I think
okay.
So the only reason why I don't think so is because they're going to be a lot more one-dimensional this game. Like the Jets have a great run defense, right? They're going to slow this down. It's not the same as the Steelers' run defense. There's, now that you have Quincy Williams back there, he's going to be playing inspired. I think the biggest thing for the Jets will be offensively keeping the ball out of the Bengals' hands, right? So you've got to focus on that run game. This is a defense that will allow you to run the ball. If you can keep the ball in your hands more often, get 3 points, even if that's all you can get, at least you're keeping your offense on the field and the defense off the field.
Time of possession. That's going to be a big one for the Jets. Now, how does the defense keep up how they have been playing the last 2 weeks? Because they've only allowed 13 points in both of their games the last 2 weeks.
It's going to be all about complete football, right? So not just the defense, it's also going to be dependent on the offense, but also special teams, right? Doing a good job. If you are in a punt situation, getting that ball within the 10-yard line right now is difficult. You ever go 90 yards down the field to go score, right? That's the biggest thing about football is that, we always focus on these one areas, but if everybody plays as a unit, right, that's been our biggest issue as a Jet, right, is that we don't always play with all 3 units playing in unity, doing what they're supposed to do, right? We've seen the special teams and the defense pick up. Now it's time for the offense to pick up.
Yeah, it's definitely the offense is what needs to get rolling a little bit more because the defense has been playing at an elite level. We're seeing Quincy Williams here warming up on the field right now. So it's definitely going to see some of him, and especially because he was walking down the tunnel saying game day, I'm back. So I would assume we're going to be seeing a lot of him. I don't know if he'll be on a snap count or limited at all in any way, but he looks ready to go, and he was a full participant in all of practice this week.
Spark plug.
Yes, he is a spark plug. He's also just an energizer for the entire defense. This last one for the Bengals run game. Chase Brown had 108 yards last week. Will the Jets defense continue to limit the run game as they have been?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like I said, it was a great job of running the RPOs and, allowing yourself to have chances to throw the ball or run the ball. It keeps the defense guessing. But this week, I think it'll be difficult for them to continue that. This is a great defense. They've been playing at a high level, not just the defensive line, right, where we're seeing a lot of guys stepping up, but then the linebackers. You've got a rookie in there. The addition of Brownlee has been great on the defensive side as well. So I think, you think about all those different factors, they're going to make sure to stop this.
Yeah, Brownlee has been a immediate impact player ever since he got in the game from the first snap. I feel like he has been making plays. He's been improving each week. And not that Brandon Stevens joins the team later. He has also just been climbing as he's been getting more comfortable.
In the run game as well.
Yes, exactly. So I think that's also another person that we should keep our eye on in terms of the Jets defense. All right, are you guys the ultimate Jets fans? That's the biggest question we have for you, because the New York Jets are celebrating the most passionate and committed fans of the game with the annual Fan Hall of Fame presented by Ticketmaster. Now you can submit your nomination at nyjets.com/Fan Hall of Fame. Terms apply. Alrighty, now I think we're going to get into Make Your Case, Quincy. So what would your case be for today's game?
Yeah, so my case is that Breece Hall is going to gain more touchdowns than Chase Brown, right? I think the biggest thing for him is that he's been on a tear, but lately he's been really slowed down, right? The offense has not been moving the ball as well in the run game, but I think this is a game where you can kind of step back up to being who you are, right? This is a running back that had the most explosive plays in the league at one point. He wants to continue that tear. He wants to continue on that ascension, right? This is a guy that wants to get paid, and I think this is a game that can really allow him to go out there and prove that he's one of the top backs in the league.
Most definitely, and as we said earlier, the Bengals they're ranked 27th with rush yards allowed per game. So this is a big game for Breece Hall to see a lot of action, and then also with how good he is at explosive runs in particular, he should really pop off this game. All right, we're going to go back to Cincinnati and hear from Eric Allen on his case and tomorrow's headline. Yeah, A.Z. Thomas, I am sure, is very excited to make that first start, especially against one of the toughest challenges in the NFL's offensive as wide receivers. Now, Quincy, what will your headline read tomorrow?
Yeah, so my headline will be Gangrene tames Joe Exotic and his Bengals. I spoke a lot about how Joe's out there. He's been doing a good job of making big plays for this new team, but I think this is the week that slows down. You know, I think I heard a little bit from Bart Scott that he's a boomer bust guy, right? He makes a lot of big plays, but he's going to give you an interception. He's got 6 interceptions this year. This is a great opportunity for the Jets to go out there and slow down this offense. And, of course, you know, you got to take that Joe Exotic angle. Too many people know about the Tiger King.
I was going to say, are you a Tiger King fan?
No. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy the Netflix special, though. I did.
I think everyone enjoyed that special. It was something that no one was expecting to see coming.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into your final thoughts, Q, I want to hear a little bit more about the Jets' offense and what you think that they are going to, what we're going to see from them today. Who do you think is going to be the first Jets offensive player to get in the end zone today?
Well, so I just learned that today is National Tight Ends Day. Right? And we talked a little bit about Mason Taylor. I think this is a great chance for him to get in the end zone. Right? Who is a quarterback's best friend? A tight end, right? That's the guy that's going to make those big plays for you. He's a big body guy in the inside. You give him, now look at this right there, right to his tight end, Jeremy Rucker. But obviously that's not who I'm talking about. But just in general, the tight ends are giving you opportunities to make big plays, and they've been wanting to. He had an opportunity to give it to him last game. I know he wants to make up for that and get a touchdown. And
I think every time we've seen Mason Taylor with the ball in his hands, he does make a play. He gets a good chunk of yardage, no matter if it's a short throw, and then he just gets explosive after the catch. But I do think that he is someone that the Jets need to utilize a little bit more.
Absolutely.
I know he's great in the blocking game, so of course you want to kind of prioritize that first. But I do want to see more of him. Also, though, Jeremy Rucker, he's been a little bit on the quieter side because Mason Taylor has taken over a bigger role with the tight end. So I do think we could see more of Jeremy Rucker today as well. Now, for the wide receivers, who do you want to see step up and maybe score their first touchdown of the season, or maybe just the first touchdown of the game?
I mean, I would love to see Arian Smith step up.
Yeah.
I want to see him have a big game. You know, I like that they're giving him opportunities in the screen game. Now, they haven't been successful. Last game, I liked a little bit of the creativity that I saw from Tanner Engstrand, right? He not only tried to screen to Arian Smith, but he also tried to screen to Mason Taylor, right? He had that nice double pass that ended up not being a big play, followed by a deep pass, right? So these are different opportunities that I saw yesterday or last week that I want to see him continue giving guys big plays, and Arian Smith is one of those guys.
Yeah, we saw a deep ball that I think it was just overthrown for Arian Smith, but that's the type of play that Arian Smith would thrive in because he can outrun most people with the level that his speed is at. So I would assume that the Jets could maybe throw in a couple more of those plays as well. I will say, you mentioned it was National Tight End Day today.
Yes.
The tight ends, of course, knew that, and they came prepared to the flight yesterday with some very nice shirts on, and we got to see those.
Yes.
I think it's literally every tight end in the tight end room, and it's just a glamour shot of each of them on the tight end's shirt, and all of them were wearing them, which was hilarious.
Oh, that's dope.
I do know that they gave a special fullback shirt to Andrew Beck.
Okay.
Yep, to just honor him correctly. Well, he's not technically a tight end, so they wanted to make sure that they got that all correct. All right, Quincy, what are your final thoughts as we head into this matchup, and we're just a couple hours away from kickoff?
Yeah, so the Jets got to play inspired football. You know, having Quincy Williams back, that's a guy that can inspire the team to do exactly what they need to do. But as far as everyone else, like Justin Fields, he also has to play extremely inspired. He has to go out there and play smart with his feet, play smart with his hands, his arm, all those different things, but lead as well. You've got to be a leader. You've got to show these guys that you are able to overcome adversity, and this is a great chance for you.
I have a question, actually, that you just reminded me of. Justin Fields, he said earlier, I believe it was post-game last week. It could have been at some point in interviews this week after practices. But he was saying how they haven't been able to maybe get things going on the certain plays that have been called, just because whether that's the opposing defense is just wrecking the offensive front, or they're just kind of wrecking the play that was called, or something doesn't transpire in the way that the route was run, whatever. So how much do you think, too, that what we have been seeing is a little bit of just a play being called, and it's maybe not what everyone at home is seeing.
Yeah.
And that's why maybe there's different opinions on what Justin Fields is capable of.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things involved in that, right? Like, we talk about team and playing as a unit, offense, defense, special teams, but I think also within the team, within the offensive unit as well. So, right, all linemen may not be doing their job. I know he made a comment about, like, on offense, everybody has to do their job, right? If one person messes up on offense, it really doesn't go flow as well as the defensive side, where everybody can mess up and you get a pick, right? So, with this offensive unit, I've said it before, the offensive line sometimes is missing blocks. The receivers sometimes aren't in the right spot. It's just important for everybody to play as a complete unit.
Speaking of the offensive line, what do you want to see from them as a unit today? Because, of course, they're going to have Trey Hendrickson on the other side of the ball, but what do you want to see from them with just that one? I mean, of course, their Bengals defensive front is good, but that one star player that you have to drag attention to.
Communication.
Yeah.
Communication is important. I think those guys have to go out there and communicate well, knowing where everybody's supposed to be, what's the mic call, all those different things that you have to do on the offensive line. You have to do it as a receiver as well. Like, we have to communicate. Everybody has to communicate. I think that will allow you to have less mess-ups. One thing that we used to always do was, if the quarterback had a check, everybody had to make sure that they were also calling the check out, whatever the hand signal was, so that we knew that, so that on film you knew that everybody knew what was going on.
Do you think that there have been more pressures allowed and maybe a little bit of a struggling offensive line in terms of allowing the quarterback to take their time and throw the ball on their terms because of the defenses that the Jets have been facing? Because that Broncos defense was one of the best.
They've been playing a really difficult defense. It's not as though it's the NFL, right?
Right.
So everybody is going out there and making the plays that they need to make. I think ultimately, though, as an offensive side, as an offensive unit, you always believe that if you are messing up, it's because of something that you didn't do, right? So you're never going to give credit to those guys on how good they are, right? Internally, you're always thinking, how can we go out there and make sure that we are executing at the highest level? Because if we're not, then that's why a lot of these mess-ups are happening.
Okay, last one for you. We're watching Malachi Moore warm up on the screen right now, and he's also been playing at just an elite level for a rookie in particular, but also just as a safety in general. What have you thought of this draft class?
Yeah.
Of the rookie class that has come in and has gotten, most honestly of them have gotten immediate playing time. And whether you want to, in an ideal world, see that time develop and have those reps take place in practice, or you want to see them in game full speed, what have you thought of them? Because they have, honestly, in my opinion, superseded what I would expect of a rookie getting those snaps to begin with.
Absolutely. I mean, I think EA spoke a little bit about it, how all these guys are really stepping up. I don't think that the Jets believed that these were going to be the starters going into the season, right? They knew that they drafted some great players, but they weren't expecting them to play when they played. But I'm happy that they're able to go out there and make the plays they're making. Like Kiko, for once, right? I don't think they ever saw him being the starter at this point, right? You re-sign Sherwood, and then you also have Quincy Williams. You don't believe that you're going to need another guy to go out there and step up, but he stepped up in a big way, right?
Yep.
Then you've got Malachi Moore, right? You already had two safeties out there. You didn't think that he was going to be a starter, but he's making big plays in the game.
Big plays,
down the field. Also in the run game as well. So these guys are doing exactly what they signed them to do, just a little bit earlier. And so it's good to see this growth because they're only going to become more and more confident.
Right, exactly. And they're only going to get better because, especially with getting this experience so early in their NFL careers, it's actually, I think, beneficial to help kind of teach them these lessons and these techniques earlier and see them in action. And like you said, they're only going to grow in their careers. All right, we're going to take a look at the injury report one more time before we get to inactives, because the injury report, again, for the Jets, if you're just joining us now, they were banged up in this week of practice. So we had a lot of people who did not participate. So everyone on the top half of this injury report, essentially, that's Sauce Gardner, Cam Jones, Kene Nwangwu, Stone Smart, Jay Tufele, Garrett Wilson, all ruled out ahead of Saturday when this practice report came out. And then the following players, Breece Hall, Josh Reynolds, Mason Taylor, Tyrod Taylor, Quincy Williams, were all questionable. And then, of course, later, Tyrod Taylor and Josh Reynolds were ruled out on Saturday. And then we don't know what the status of Michael Carter II, Jermaine Johnson, and Quantez Stiggers is. I will say, though, that all three of them were full participants on Thursday and Friday. So it's trending as if they both will play. So that will also be nice to see Michael Carter II get back in action, because he's someone that the Jets really rely on in their secondary as well. All right, now it's time for inactives, and we're going to get this out right now with this guy on your screen from the back. if we can pop up who's inactive today. Okay, perfect. That will be Sauce Gardner, Tyrod Taylor, Garrett Wilson, Kene Nwangwu, Jay Tufele, Stone Smart, and Kobe King. He was a new addition to the Jets this week. He was on the transaction list, so he will not be playing, though, in today's game. Alrighty, that's all from us here on Pregame Central. Make sure you're tuning into Jets Overtime. We'll be live roughly about 30 minutes after the game ends, and we will see who takes the cake between the Jets and the Bengals.